So if you want to win this thing, go to fixtheflat.com/sweeps50 and you can enter for a chance to win this thing. Hey everybody, I'm Chris Forsberg.
And I'm Dylan Hughes.
And welcome to the Fix the Flat 50th anniversary C10 build. So I think we decided to do a truck because we're always building cars. So.
Yeah, really, we just wanted to do something a little bit different. And then with the 1970, they wanted to be from the year 1970, and really there were a lot of cars that we weren't particularly fond of, and we love trucks.
Yeah, trucks are cool.
Yeah, I mean, we looked around quite a bit. We just punched into Google, 1970, Chevy, Ford, blah, 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 blah. We went through all sorts of everything, and we think that the coolest one was probably the truck.
Yeah, the C10 is just a super iconic truck of that era, and everybody loves it. So since we were doing a giveaway with it, and we don't know who's gonna get it, we wanted to kind of spread it to the masses. So the C10 being like the most popular truck from that time, I would say, that's why we chose it.
Pro tip, when it stops leaking, then you gotta worry about it.
And it's almost like all that fluid used to be in there.
Inside. Yeah. And did we even drain that thing?
No. Yeah, so Facebook Marketplace is like my new favorite search engine for cars.
Yeah.
It works really well, actually. So it's like you can get good local searches. We're looking on Craigslist and eBay and everything else, and there's a lot of projects, right? Half-done builds, no drivetrains, things like that, which might have been good for us since we were going to do such a rebuild on it, but they were all in such bad condition.
Yeah. We looked, we go on to Craigslist and all sorts of different places. The coolest part about Marketplace is that it does have your Facebook attached to it. So people are much more likely to respond rather than just a Craigslist ad that's kind of like whatever. So that was cool that we found that one. We looked all over the country. Like we were talking about driving to Texas, we were talking about driving to Oklahoma, we were talking about all over the place, and then this one just happened to pop up, and we just got lucky. That's all there is to it. It just happened to be an hour north. So that's how we knew. As soon as we saw that one, we're like, this is it. And then so that allowed us to go see it before we purchased it. And our biggest thing was the frame. We looked at the frame and the body to see how much rust it had. It was very minimal rust, which the guys up at Dominator Fabrication, Leonard, he told us oh, this is a great find. It looks a little beat up and has dents and scratches all over, but he's like, this is a good find. As long as it doesn't have rust, it doesn't matter what the paint looks like or how many dents are on, as long as there's no rust. That's the biggest thing. So yeah, we got lucky. I don't know what that thing is.
Whatever it is, we don't need it.
How do you remember where all the bolts go? You don't!
Well, so what we're gonna do with the truck is we wanna keep it pretty, I don't wanna say fully period correct, it might not be the right term, but we are sticking with a carbureted V8, of course, small block. And we're gonna do some upgrades to the suspension, the drivetrain, and just get it up to snuff so it's a little more reliable. And we aren't going to do the typical slam C10 on the ground. We're gonna set it up on some 31-inch tires, so it gives it just that nice daily little off-roady type look. And we're doing bigger brakes, we're doing a stronger transmission, upgrading components on the chassis with new bushings and things like that.
Yeah, and we got a bunch of suspension components from a C20, which is its older brother, basically, or its bigger brother. So that one's a little bit more heavy-duty ball joints, some better steering stuff. Really just kind of upgrading everything and refreshing everything, and the frame is perfectly powder-coated, which is beautiful now. And I mean, really, it's just freshening it up and getting it back to the way it was, better than the way it was when it was brand new. So all fresh bushings, and the steering should be nice and tight, and that motor, that Edelbrock motor, should be running awesome. And we got all those AutoZone parts going on that thing, and it should make it much better. Hard to believe why they call it a U-bolt.
Makes no sense.
Makes no sense at all. Well, we don't have any standard sockets.
So we learned that quick.
We learned that quick.
Yeah, what is that, a 15 or a 16?
Yeah, we're all put the old metric on it. It's a little loose or a little tight.
It works.
I mean, really, it's...
Yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to do a truck and an old one at that, being the 1970, because we don't get to do those, and so it was fun to do something different.
It wasn't. We didn't really run into too many challenges. Really, it was just kind of trying to figure out how this thing came apart. Since we've never worked on one before, we're all kind of learning as we go. If you were to tell me to go take apart a BMW E46, I know what size, where everything's at. I've done it before. This one, it was just kind of learning, especially learning how they did things in the 70s. So. Yeah, it was awesome. It wasn't too bad, really. We're just kind of having fun with it and going with it. So it wasn't too bad.
Well, I've been drifting cars for 20 years now, professionally for 15, 16 years now. And I've always worked on my own cars since day one. I've been cranking on cars, learning as I go in my parents' barn back in Pennsylvania, and just like fully self-taught fabricator, and have just always enjoyed not only the drive, but the build of the car as well. And so like here in the garage, you know, we're always working on building on something. And you know, we've done all kinds of engine swaps, all kinds of like classic car builds, new car builds. We do a lot of fuel injection. We don't do too much carbureted stuff. Actually, this is like one of the first carbureted builds we've done.
Not too much by none at all.
No, none really at all. But yeah, like we really enjoy the build and the fabrication, just building things. And so, like I said, doing the truck is something different, which is why it's really enjoyable for us. So, but I mean, you've been driving for more than 2 years, just professionally.
Well, yeah. So I started working for this guy about 6-7 years ago, and that was kind of right when I was getting into just barely starting to compete in drifting, and I knew I wanted to take it somewhere, and I was offered an awesome opportunity to come and help Chris on his team. So I was a mechanic on his professional drift team for many years, and that kind of following his footsteps, I was able to like work the way up the ladder. Now we compete against each other in Pro 1, which is like the coolest thing ever. And then we're lucky enough to have the shop where we can jam on awesome projects and do cool stuff. And we're fortunate in the sense that we both love working on cars. We have the space for it, and we have the patience for it, nonetheless. And yeah, so we're pro drift drivers and builders. Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, done. Woo! Those are steel fender liners. Nowadays they're only plastic, much lighter. How many bolts it took to get those out? Hey, what's going on down there? Is that a tire?
Well, we have a nice pile of parts going. We have a few more things on the way. And yeah, get the truck back, and we shouldn't have to take the body back off it, right?
Hopefully
not.
not.
Just gotta take the front end off it so we can swoop the drivetrain in.
Right.
And so then we'll get the Edelbrock motor in there, the gear star transmission, and start hooking up the drivetrain. And we have all of our new suspension bits coming in as well. So we just threw on the old stuff to get it rolled out to the paint and body spot, so that when it comes back, we can just dump it all off and stick all the new stuff on. Nice, fresh and clean. Wiring, do the interior. What else are we missing?
A bunch of stuff. I mean, that pretty much covers it. I mean, really, we're probably just gonna roll that thing in the trailer with the old suspension on it. We're gonna push it out of the trailer, we're gonna roll it on that lift. It's gonna go up, new suspension, take the grill on the front end off, swoop the motor in. It really shouldn't be too bad, especially this thing being that Edelbrock carbureted motor should be pretty dang easy to wire. We're gonna have to spend some time on the interior with that seat and everything. But I mean, and really we just gotta make sure that we don't have to take the body back off. Ideally we don't, but it's one of those deals you never know. So yeah, we're just gonna start jamming.
Nothing like cutting hot metal in a junkyard when it's 90.
Well, because we're used to working on fuel injected cars, like we said, everything in here is fuel injected.
Yeah.
But Edelbrock was gracious enough to help us choose the right setup, and they said they could even help us tune it if it needs it after we get it running. So because we just don't really mess with carbureted engines, and we want to make sure it's reliable. And so,
well, and especially going with the small block platform as opposed to the newer style LS motor, it almost just kind of seemed right, because when we would jump in that truck, when we went up there and got it, you'd have to pump the gas a couple of times and then it would fire up. And I don't think this Edelbrock one is going to be like that, but like we were kind of talking to them, and we really thought that it would be cool to kind of keep that nostalgia of it and just kind of keep it carbureted and play around with it for us, because we haven't done it before. But I know that Edelbrock carburetor kit is like pretty sweet. They got that stuff figured out now, so it should be cool. Easy to wire.
yeah, not bad. You want to go for a drive?
Yeah.
Should hop in. I think this thing still runs.
Yeah, that's what I heard. All clear. Whoa. The entire truck was savable. We even went and got that bedside, and I don't think they ended up using it.
I don't think so.
Because the one that we thought was bad, they said that it wasn't, and they were able to just push that dent out from the inside and clean it all up.
Well, we did have to replace that tailgate.
We did replace the tailgate.
Tailgate, that thing had a good bow in it.
Right.
And then fresh bumpers, of course.
Fresh bumpers.
We probably could have, sand those out and float them out, but the bumpers were affordable and just nice, fresh, clean chrome finish.
Yeah.
So
I mean, really,
that was really
just the tailgate.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy, actually.
All right.
Yeah.
Woo.
Well, we talking what this one started with or what it had? because I
Yeah.
think it had about 82.
Yeah, she was tired would be a good word.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, any small block engine that's from the 70s is going to be a little bit down on power. I'm sure it wasn't as efficient as this new one's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
But with this new Edelbrock motor, I could see that thing being,
Should be 350, 380.
I was going to say to the crank it should be 350. And I'm sure the other one was down at about $190.
At best.
Yeah, she was burning a little oil. You know, she sounded like it had a little header tick or something.
Yeah, for sure. And there was a crushed tube, so.
Yeah, it'll be better for sure. Black valve covers, black intake manifold, black water pump.
And she's in. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's hard
totally.
to build anything that you put some effort and pride into and give it away. Not to
Yeah.
say just give it away, but you know, it's fun and it's cool and like it's you know, we put a lot of time into it, put a lot of effort into it, and so. But it's fun because this one is going to be a sweepstakes, so someone's going to be really stoked.
Right. I think it'll be good. I don't really have a problem with doing that. Like, I feel like if that was our entire business was building cars for other people, I'd probably get tired of it. But I think that with this one, it's going to be really cool. It's really cool circumstances. The guy we got it from, Roger, you know, his dad bought it brand new. It's just a cool story. It's kind of one of those like feel-good things, you know what I mean? Like, it's cool to be able to put some effort into it, and then at the end, like, see how stoked somebody's going to get when they get it, realize they get it, win it. Yeah. So. Nah, I think it'll be cool. Obviously, in a perfect world, we'd like to keep it, but that's all right.
I'm going to enter.
Yeah, me too. Can we do that? All right, we're not giving it away at all.
And then all I had to do was just jump onto AutoZone and just plug those numbers in and get the different make, model, years and find the correct part. And it was all right there. It was all in stock. And it all showed up within a day, which is rad.
Pretty impressive.
And so on some of these, we're gonna have to press out the ball joint for a different size. So that's what these are, fresh ball joints for the lower control.
So if you want to win this thing, go to fixaflat.com/sweeps50 and you can enter for a chance to win this thing.
Yeah.
You know, anyone can enter.
Hop on that website, go on there, you can watch all of our videos. We've been doing a great job of documenting the whole process thus far, and we will continue until this thing is done. So if you want to watch how it's built and then potentially win it, fixaflat.com/sweeps50.